May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be ever pleasing in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. I was scrolling through Facebook this week, and a quote came up, and I did read the quote, but I did not read who said it. And I went to try and find it again, because I thought I remembered the friend that posted it, but I couldn't. But the quote was this: "Faith without doubt is idolatry." I don't know who said it. I don't remember who posted it. If you do know who said it, please let me know, because I quite agree with this sentiment. Faith without doubt is idolatry. But what does that mean? And I think the best way to get at it is to start with a story. Now, as some of you know and some of you don't know, my husband, Mark, is a Titanic historian. He is very enthusiastic about the Titanic. He's been studying it since the age of 6. He knows a lot. He does presentations on it. And this week was the anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. It's kind of a big deal in our house. As we were watching one of the documentaries on the night it sank, a man came up on the screen. We were watching one of the older documentaries about it, and his name was George Behe. And Mark immediately went, "I don't like him." And I asked, well, why? He seems knowledgeable. And Mark explained that George Behe was the head of the Titanic Historical Society for many years and convened conferences and things. And in 1982, there was a Titanic conference here in Philadelphia. And many survivors were there recounting their experiences. There were scholars speaking, and of course, George himself was giving talks. He was on a panel with some of the survivors as the survivors were taking questions and recounting their experience of the sinking. Whenever the survivors started talking about when the ship broke in half, because that's how we all know it happened. The ship reared up, broke in half, and the other half went down as well. George Behe, however, did not agree with the survivors, took the mic out of their hands, and promptly told them, "You're wrong. The ship went down in one piece, and we all know that. That's what the inquiries found. Of course, we can understand that in the heat of the moment, you may have thought that you saw it break in half. But we know, beyond a reasonable doubt, the ship went down in one piece." Now, there's always been, at this point, a controversy surrounding if the ship split up or it didn't. Because in the inquiries, the official inquiries, both British and American, they found it didn't. But they only interviewed mainly the officers who survived the sinking. So Lightoller, the second in command, the highest officer that survived, is the person's word they took. And he was a company man. And he went with the White Star Company line that the ship went down in one piece, because obviously it's better if the ship went down whole than if it broke in half. Somehow that makes it a little better, this whole tragedy. So both inquiries sided with White Star and the officers, and George Behe, the head of the Titanic Historical Society, has sided with them. Even when he has survivors, they're giving their eyewitness experience. George's belief in how the Titanic sank could not be questioned. There was no doubt in his mind, this is the way it was, and you will listen to me because I know. I can't possibly entertain the idea that it could be something different. Well, in September of 1985, about 3 years later, Robert Ballard found the Titanic on the bottom of the ocean, and we learned that it did indeed break in half, and George had to eat a little crow. He couldn't doubt his belief. He made an idol out of his belief to the point that he kind of made himself look really stupid by telling these survivors they didn't see what they saw. He couldn't question. And when we talk about our faith, it requires questions. Knowledge requires asking. To believe in something, to have faith in it, means we must examine it, and it must hold up to questions. It can't shrink in the face of them. There are those in the Christian faith who want to say, because the Bible said it, or a vision I had said it, or even worse sometimes because the pastor said it, there can be no question It is the will of God, and in fact, if you are questioning or doubting, you obviously don't have enough faith, or you aren't loyal enough, or committed enough. Doubt is marked as a sign of weakness and unfaithfulness. And they often use today's gospel, the story of Thomas, to reinforce their view that doubt and questioning is bad. Because in today's gospel we hear about Thomas, who for some reason wasn't there the first time when the disciples were sequestered in their rooms locked away. Jesus showed up to the disciples who were present and said, "I'm here, peace be with you." And all were amazed. And these disciples go and tell Thomas, "We have seen the Lord. He is risen." But Thomas does not believe. Thomas says, "Unless I touch the wounds, unless I put my hand in his side, I will not believe." And for a minute, he might sound like George Beatty. You have these eyewitnesses saying they saw something, and Thomas saying, "I can't possibly believe that." But at the same time, I think there is a difference here. Because think about what the disciples are asking Thomas to believe. Thomas, the one who had to see his teacher and his mentor put up on a cross. Thomas, who had to see his mentor die. This man he loved so deeply. And they're asking him to be open to the idea that all that is negated. Maybe Thomas just wanted closure. Maybe Thomas just wanted to be done, to close the book, to grieve, and to say that's it. And now these disciples are coming with hope. I don't want your hope. I want to close the door on this because I can't emotionally deal with it. It's a big deal to be asked, believe in this. But luckily, when the disciples are gathered again, locked away again, Jesus shows up again. And Jesus says, "Thomas, I'm here. Put your hands in my wounds. See that it is me." And this is where some of those people pick up on Jesus' teaching, because they pick up when Jesus seems to rebuke Thomas by saying, "It is great that you believe because you have seen me, but blessed are those who believe who have not or will not see me." And many see this as a rebuke of Thomas's doubt. But I don't see it that way. Because I think Jesus knew he wasn't going to be able to show up to everyone physically. That wasn't in the plan or the cards. So Jesus is saying there will be those who believe without seeing my physical body, without putting the fingers in the wounds. But at the same time, Jesus showed up for Thomas. Jesus didn't abandon him and say, "Well, because you don't believe blindly, I'm not going to appear to you." Jesus shows up in Thomas's doubt. Jesus sees the questions Thomas is asking, and Jesus answers the question. Jesus hears Thomas pose the question, "You can't be alive, can you? Unless I see you, I can't believe." And Jesus comes and helps Thomas into faith. Jesus says, "I am here, and I will answer your questions, and I will help you believe." God can handle our doubts. God can handle us asking questions. And in fact, we should ask questions. We should test our theories. We should go to the pastor and say, "That doesn't sound right." Or, "God, in prayer, is that really the way you're working in the world?" Because doubt, questions, they spur an exploration of our faith. And in the end, they help us build a deeper well of knowledge and a deeper faith and understanding of our faith. And those are not bad things. Now, sometimes you'll have to wait for an answer. We pastors don't know everything, and sometimes we have to go look it up. Sometimes God isn't going to give you the sign you need right away. Jesus isn't always going to show up right in the middle of the room saying, "Here I am." But an answer will come. It always comes. And if anyone ever asks you to follow them blindly, or reacts with anger and harsh words at a question that gets to the heart of an issue, or says you aren't faithful enough because you even asked the question in the first place, then they are bordering on idolatry. Because idols don't want questions. Idols don't want doubt. Idols want you to believe what they say, period. No questioning. Even if what they say is wrong. The Titanic went down in one piece. No question, no debate, no doubt. When your faith can't be questioned, when you think God can't be questioned, there's nothing left to learn or explore. And you've turned that faith into an idol. But God is not an idol. God wants you to deepen your faith. God invites your questions. And like with Thomas, God shows up and says, here, touch me, feel me, know that I am here to help you understand. You should not be shamed for asking a question. Your faith is not weak for saying, I need to understand this better, or I can't believe that till I explore and I learn more. I am sure that this time we all have questions about our faith and our God. Our world has been turned upside down, some much more so than others. And it's okay to doubt during this time. It's okay to ask the hard questions at this time. It's okay to pray, God, I don't know. Show me the way. It may take time, but God will show up in that question. An answer will come. Doubt, questioning, exploring, these are healthy things. Thomas doubted, and he should get more credit.